Well, welcome Rotarians. It's my pleasure to welcome you to today's program. It's my pleasure to be here and to fill in for our president. I'm Michael Blennis. I'm the past president of the Idaho Falls Rotary Club. And I just have a few announcements and a couple challenges for you as Rotarians. As we're still going through this time where we're not meeting together physically, I wanted to encourage you to take this time to check out myrotary.org. That's the Rotary International webpage, and you can create an account there, and it's full of all sorts of useful Rotary information, as well as just some overall good training. As all our students are heading back to school or learning from home, it's not a bad time for us to do some online classes too. But it's a new web page, just rolled out here in the last 30 days. And it's more intuitive in its design and its interface than it's been in the past. It's accessible on mobile devices, which it wasn't previously. You get a personalized homepage once you create your account with links to our club's webpage and district information, as well as our club goals. It's got enhanced member profiles, so you can put in as much information that you want to share with other Rotarians. It's got some new privacy features to keep the things that you want to keep private. And it's got a detailed search filter. And it's really easy to navigate and to learn about all things Rotary. This is just the beginning. They're going to continue to roll out some new and upgraded changes. And one of the things I found most interesting was on the webpage was the opportunity to take some online classes, not just about Rotary, but there are new classes in our partnership with Toastmasters on leadership, and you can get to those through the myrotary.org page and have all sorts of opportunities to learn about Rotary and develop new skills. And it's a great use of your time when we're not meeting here together. So with that, it's my pleasure today to introduce Rotarian Catherine, is our program chair for the month and is going to introduce our program for today. So sit back, enjoy your lunch, and enjoy the program.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today and continue our monthly theme of, hey, Idaho Falls, you're awesome. And our programs this month all celebrate the wonderful things here in Idaho Falls. So it's my pleasure to introduce Carrie Athay from the Museum of Idaho today. She will be our very exciting program, and she's brought some treasures to share with us. Carrie Anderson Athay grew up visiting museums around the world. After spending some time in wonderful museums, she fell in love with art and artifacts and the idea that preserving the past helps us to learn about ourselves and our communities so that we can prepare for the future. Carrie has degrees in humanities and anthropology from Brigham Young University and a graduate degree in museum studies with a concentration in American studies from the George Washington University. I think it's safe to say the Museum of Idaho is very fortunate to have her. She has completed an apprenticeship in artifact conservation, focusing primarily on wood and textile artifacts, and has curated several exhibits, including an exhibit for the Civil War Trust, which traveled the country for several years after opening at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. After having worked in a number of large and small museums, she is now the curator at the Museum of Idaho. She has a passion for artifacts and the stories they tell, and has grown to love the complex texture of Idaho and its rich history. Carrie serves as a board member for the Idaho Association of Museums and is on the Idaho Falls Historic Preservation Commission. And I'm thrilled and honored to welcome Carrie to our program today.
Thanks, Catherine. I'm so excited to be with all of you today. Bear with me, I have my artifact gloves on, and I'm going to like Catherine mentioned, I'm going to share a couple of artifacts with you today. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the title of my presentation. And so, a cabinet of curiosities. And what is a cabinet of curiosities? So actually, they started in about the 1600s, and it's when people began collecting things, notable things. And that really is the foundation and the basis for museums that we have today, is that people were interested in thinking about what it was that created identity, or they were thinking about what it was that sort of gave them a sense of place and a sense of who they are and a sense of understanding the world around them. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the world around us here in our community, and I wanted to share with you a few mostly new things to the museum and share some exciting things that we have going on. So see if I can understand my PowerPoint and get it to move forward. Okay. So a little glimpse, we do have a lot of fun at the museum, and occasionally when we have new artifacts come in, we have a little bit of fun. So join me and welcome on our little journey. And let's jump back to 1927. And if you see in this image here, this is a 1927 Model T that was donated to the museum in 2018. It just arrived at the museum a few weeks ago, though, and we're really excited that it has finally joined us at the museum. This Model T we're going to be using in our upcoming exhibit, The Way Out West, and we're going to be telling a couple of stories with the Model T. One of the stories that we're going to be telling is the story of the Model T itself. So this Model T comes from the John Hansen family, and his widow, Michelle, donated it to us recently. And John spent a long time restoring this Model T. It was a beautiful piece, although it wasn't always beautiful. It was kind of in disrepair out on his ranch for a long time, and he spent several years with his children restoring it. The history of the Model T goes back a little bit farther. His dad owned the Ford dealership here in Idaho Falls, and but his dad passed away fairly young and unexpectedly in about 1949. And at that time, his widow, Lily, took over, and she ran the dealership. Well, this is just after World War II, and women had had a lot of opportunities during World War II to advance careers and to join the workforce in a lot of different ways that they hadn't prior to the war. However, when soldiers came home, they needed jobs. And so some of these advancements for women started to backpedal just a little bit. And one of those is evident in what happened with Lily. She was doing a great job running the Ford dealership. However, once Ford headquarters found out that a woman was running the dealership, they made her sell that franchise and took that away from her. And this Model T, it had sat in the window of the Hansen Ford dealership for a number of years, but upon her leaving that dealership, she took it out to the family farm in Osgood and left it out somewhere on the land for John to later restore with his kids. John, as many of you may know if you knew him, he was a state senator. His brother was a congressman serving from Idaho in our United States Congress. So this family has quite a history of service on behalf of Idaho. And John, incidentally, after he restored the Model T, he used to take it traveling around. And when he was running for office, he would have some of his banners on it. And he drove it in many parades. So there is sort of a tale of two T's that we want to tell. You can see a picture of Lily Hansen here, and she was the lovely lady who, incidentally, she never learned how to drive herself. So she ran this dealership and always had someone else drive her around. She was quite a lady, Michelle talked about. And on the other side here, you can see a couple